First, let's take a look at the mercenary we are using, Thonia the Raving. Thonia starts with 19 health, 8 cards starting end, and 1 free charge. Her champion power, Whispers of Insanity, reads basic, 2 charges, discard a card. Now it doesn't seem really good, but once you read her passive you'll be convinced that she is very powerful. The first one is Transmute Energy. When a champion discards a resource, gain 2 temporary resources. We'll be using that to achieve 3 resources on first turn and 4 resources on the second turn for most game. It is an extremely powerful ramping effect, and it is second only to the Elf Warrior power. The next passive is Transmute Matter. When a champion discards an artifact or a troop, gain 5 health. We're going to gain a lot of health with this champion. She doesn't start with a lot of health as a starter, and we'll be playing a decent amount of cards that have drawbacks in terms of health loss. So this passive doesn't seem that great, but it's going to provide us with enough ways to use our health to draw more cards and play efficiency removal, as we'll be seeing later. The last one is Transmute Mind. When a champion discards an action or constant, draw 2 cards. This is going to generate a card draw engine that once we put an early threat on the board, we're going to just use that to draw a ton of cards and fuel our powers to just take over the game with draw card advantage. She also has deck building rules, in a sense that your deck must contain at least 20 actions. This is not a small amount of actions, and it doesn't leave a lot of room to work with in terms of playing threats, so you need to be very keen about what you're doing. You'll see that for this list we're choosing to play Mono Blood, as she is fully unlocked on the blood side of things. You can use her with Ruby, Sapphire, and Wild to a decent amount, since we're still looking at 3 of each, and you can achieve decent consistency with these. So I'd encourage you to play with all these shards, but for this list we're going to play Mono Blood, and we're seeing 2 of each for the artifacts. Now let's take a look at the actual list for the mercenary. Rounding up the 20 action, first we have Contract Killing. This is a very efficient piece of removal, 0 cost 1 blood threshold basic action, void target troop. At the start of your turn, if this is in your hand, deals 2 damage to you. We already reviewed Thonia's passive powers that will be generating a decent amount of health for us, so the drawback is very insignificant for this, and we're going to make good use of 0 cost removal as expected. Next one is Glyph of Hatred with the Trinket of Equipment, Trinket of Hatred. That changes the action here to be troops you control gets rage 1. So all troops you control, you will see that we're often able to have 2, 3, 4, even 5 troops in play, playing a Gift of Hatred, generating a ton of additional damage. That usually leads to a kill on the same turn you play it, or on the next turn. The other use we'll be doing with the Glyph of Hatred is on turn 2. We'll be playing a troop on turn 1, a troop on turn 2, or 2, and then using all the Glyph of Hatreds that we have to start putting an insane amount of pressure early in the game. This usually leads to turn 3 and turn 4 kills. Next action is Cocktail's Thirst. This is a 2 cost 1 blood threshold quick action. Target troop gets +3 attack and -1 defense. With 4 blood thresholds, we draw a card. Most of the time we're not going to draw a card because of the threshold. However, this is a very versatile card, a piece of action that will do a lot of things for this list. It will help removing 1 defense blockers. It will help add a decent amount of damage to Bride of the Damned, and it's also later in the game a way to draw a card and do one of either of these 2 first options. Really cool, and it helps, achieve our deck requirement of 20 actions. Next one is also a piece of removal in Strangle. This is in all formats, staple, all-star, and in PvE it's still the case. 2 cost, 2 blood threshold, target troop gets -4/-4 as a quick action. Very hard to beat, very flexible. Just give a nice tool to the list for survival and deal with hard to solve problems. Last piece of action to round out the 20 actions is Blood's Favor. Choose one. Each opposing champion discards a card at random. It has synergy with our champion, our mercenary power, but this is really this is not what we want to use it. The way we want to use it is just to draw 2 cards and lose 2 health. Again, we're going to gain a lot of health, so the drawback is very minimal, and we're going to draw 2 cards, which is very significant in the list. We're either going to discard it to draw 2 cards, or just play it to draw 2 cards if we don't have the charges to use our champion power. Either way, it is going to do a lot of work for us. The last option to void each opposing champion's script, gain 1 health for each troop voided this way, is going to come handy, namely in the Dynamo Swarm encounter, where some amount of the time where we're not able to push enough pressure early or don't have enough removal, being able to just remove their crypt is going to make a difference. It's also, you know, if you use this list to level a new character, you're going to find that being able to remove the crypt from your opponents is going to, from time to time, makes a difference as well. Now, how do we win the game really is by using Bride of the Damned or Stingy Jack. These are the main threats for the list. Bride of the Damned, all-star in any format. This card is insanely powerful, and since we're playing PvE, we have access to equipment that is going to make her even better. Here, Bride of the Damned is a 3-cost 1 blood threshold troop at Avatar of Suffering, 3/3 with lethal. That's pretty good, and we're going to play this on turn 1. It reads, when you gain a blood threshold, target opposing troop gets -1/-1. Now, with the at-peace equipment that we're also playing in this list, Black Vest Veil, when we're going to play again a blood threshold, we're going to do -1/-1, and also making our the troop's controller discard a card. This synergizes with all of Thonia's ability, and it makes Bride not only an extremely good turn 1 play, it's going to synergize with everything that we're doing. So she's even getting us even more value than the text it has. The last line reads, for 5 blood threshold, when an opposite troop dies, revert it and put it into play under your control. Now, this is not something that will happen often. We'll mostly be winning the game on turn 4 or 3 most of the time, but some of the time we're going to have longer games, and being able to steal their troops is going to make a significant difference. The next threat is not a least, is Stingy Jack. This was one of the Harvest special reward in the past, and it is a 4-cost 1 blood threshold troop. It is a spirit, and it is unique. It is a 7/1. Now, that's a very, very big amount of attack for a 4-drops. And it reads, deploy, create a harvest trick and a harvest treat and put it into your deck. The harvest trick is a basic action, 0 cost. When you draw this, play it for free and draw a card. Each opposing champion discard 2 cards at random, lose 5 health. Discarding 2 cards again synergizes with our mercenary power, and gaining health help outweigh the Blood's Favor and Contract Killing health negative costs. The harvest treat, however, reads, when you draw this, play it for free and draw a card, gain 5 health and draw 2 cards. Now we see that the threat gains 5 health and draw 2 cards, and the trick does 5 damage, makes the opponent lose 5 health and discard 2 cards. They both play automatically for free and draw a card. So this is our late game engine. Like, if we're not able to win the game very early, either by playing Stingy Jack and attacking for a lot of damage, or if it gets removed, or we're just going for the long game, we're going to create these tricks and treats, and we're going to draw them. Because remember, Thonia is going to make us draw a lot of cards. We're using the Scarecrow Sight as a weapon equip, and we're also using the gloves as well. The first one makes it so that when it enters play, it creates 4 tricks and 4 treats This is a lot of cards. It's 8 cards in our deck that play themselves for free, draw us a card, and do something awesome for us. So often this will just help us win the game on its own. The next one is that your Stingy Jacks have, when you play a card with Arvis in its name, it gets invincible this turn. It's often useful as you start a turn drawing extra cards with Thonia's power, or just naturally drawing the tricks and treats. You'll be getting a 7/1 invincible troop that you can freely attack with. Now it's going to be very, very, very good. So this is our late game, the way we're going to win the late game. With the amount of card draw that we have in the list, we're going to be hitting these candies here very often. To round out the list, we're going to use the Cerebral Jackets with the chest equipment, Chest of Electrical Force, which transform this very good piece of artifact into an extremely good piece of artifact. Once it's equipped, it reads, remove an energy counter from this, draw 2 cards and discard a card. Discarding a card at will, when you activate it for free, is going to be insanely powerful for Thonia. Again, we're going to discard a shard to gain 2 temporary resources and do some amount of ramp, or we're going to discard an action to draw 2 cards. And we already drew 2 cards, so if we're discarding an action, we're drawing 4 cards with this at no cost. It's going to be extremely good. We rarely will be mulliganing a hand where we have Cerebral Jacket as a starting option. Last but not least, we're going to use 23 resources with 4 Necropolis coins. What's very interesting with the Necropolis coin is that their power is discard this, each opposing champion loses 2 health, and you draw a card. Meaning that when you're playing Thonia, you're discarding a resource. So even though it costs 2 to activate, you're going to get 2 resources back just because you activated it and discarded it. Meaning that if you have 4 coins in hand and have access to 2 resources, you will be able to cycle them all in one turn. To finish the list review here, we're going to be using a selection of mercenaries. For this character, I'm using Clatterclank, which provides us with an additional charge if we have more card than our opponent at the start of the game. This is why we're running 21 cards in our deck, so that we can an extra charge from Clatterclank. We're also running Katsuhiro here as the third mercenary. When we're on the draw, we're going to have access to 1 additional charge. When you're leveling a new character, you will only have access to 3 mercenary slots, so you will be using Katsuhiro and always choosing to be on the draw to make sure that you have access to the additional charge. Between Katsuhiro and Clatterclank and Thonia herself, that starts with 1 additional charge. We're already starting the game with 3 charges. If you are playing a ranger, there's also a tenant that unlocks at level 10 that you can choose that also add another charge to your starting pool at every game. So here the goal is to have as many charges as we can early in, as of turn 1. With this configuration, just not considering the 4th slot to have a level 15 human character, you can easily start with 1, 2, 3, 4 additional charges. And on the first turn you play your first shard and you go up to 5, ensuring that you can use Thonia's power on turn 1, on turn 2 and on turn 3 every single game. And this is what makes her extremely efficient. The fact that we can use these selection of mercenaries and character class combination to get up to all charges. If you have a human ranger like I have in this case and you have access to a 4th mercenary, I strongly suggest to use Augustine so that you can choose to be on the play and just get a bit more traction, a bit more speed on your game and still achieve the 5 charges on the first turn scenario that makes her extremely efficient.